watch, or join.
Yo, we got a dope interview coming for y'all today by way of Southwest Houston, Texas. So grab your pens and let the interview begin. But
Yeah.
let me ask you, so what got you into law? Because I know that we spoke before and you were like, yeah, in Nigerian homes, you ain't shit if you ain't a doctor or a lawyer. So do you think that had an influence on what made you decide to change your profession?
Nah, man, because as a kid, I wanted to be a lawyer, and that. Okay, let me rewind. As a kid, most kids, want to do something silly when they grow up because they don't have an understanding of what life really is, right? And so they just see something that they gravitate to that they like, and they're like, all right, I want to do that when I grow up. I want to be a chef. I want to be a firefighter. Like, I think at one point in time, I wanted to be a firefighter. I thought they were hopping out of motherfucking fire trucks, hopping on ladders, putting out fire. I thought that shit was. I don't want to be a fucking firefighter. You know what I'm saying? I'm risking my life. Don't get me wrong. Salute to all the firefighters.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Salute to all of them.
Respect to those brothers.
That's
Yeah.
very. I'm not
Yeah.
about to burn a building. That's not what I'm finna do, right? But so you know, the
Right.
Nigerian culture of perception of success is that the doctor, lawyer, engineer, you ain't shit basically. And so I knew that they felt like that, but as a kid, I still wanted to do other things that I just found attractive at the time. But as I grew up quickly into like fifth, sixth grade, and I started to see stuff like the OJ trial, see stuff like just different things that was being put out in the media as far as legal shit going on. My interest was I was naturally attracted to that, right? And because I was always into some shit, they was always asking me
Right.
what the hell happened. So I was always having to come up with a story as far as what was happening. And so it was like it was people that would tell me, man, you sound like you're gonna be a lawyer. And I'd just be like, well, I'm really just trying to get out of trouble right now. I mean, if that's gonna help me get out of trouble, then shit, yeah, let's do it. Right. And over the course of time,
Right.
just my personality and how my mind works when it comes to analyzing things and the way things are, it just made sense for me. So yeah, they had that pressure to do that, and it's coincidentally my little sister is an engineer. Um, but I always wanted to do that, and I think that they might have steered me a little bit better because they didn't deter me from it. But if I wanted to be
Right.
something else, I would have been something else, though. You know what I'm saying? It just so happened that it lined up that
Don't be no disgrace, motherfucker.
way. Man,
You disgrace, motherfucker.
man, great.
Man, so like even with that though, Moye, like so like even with that and getting into law and what were some things that that you didn't just
Uh,
based off of wanting to be something and then actually getting it.
and this gonna sound pretty retarded, and but I'll say what I didn't expect was the switch up people will have after you serve their purpose in life, right? So it's like as a lawyer, people come to you when they got problems, right? And they're, oh my gosh, I got this
Right.
problem, I got this problem, I need some help, I need some help, I need some help. And whatever you can do to help me, da 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 da, right? Everybody's, the house is on fire, you're the only one that can put it out. Please help me, help me, help me. Whatever I got to do, I'll do it. I promise. I'm da 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 da, right? And then you solve their problem, right? And now it's time for them to give you your bread, and then they just catch ghosts. It's like the amount of energy people put into you when they need you versus the magnitude of disappearance they have
Right.
after you. I didn't expect it to be. I knew that okay, I was gonna have to stay on top of my accounts receivable, but I didn't expect to be so much of a bill collector when it came to being a lawyer. I thought I could just be a lawyer and then
Right.
I do good work, and then people be like, man, I love this guy. I make sure I give him every dime that he asked for because we agreed to it, and he helped me with my problem, and my life has changed, and it's for the better. I'm thinking people are gonna be more grateful after the problem is solved and actually fulfill their obligations. And I didn't know I was gonna have to be such a bill collector. So, but then again, it's part of the game.
So
I ain't gonna throw the baby.
just right. I mean, so just out of curiosity about what's the percent of people that actually don't finish paying attorney fees, or just from a personal experience?
Uh, in total, shit, man,
Yeah.
shit. How many people actually pay me every dime that they owe me, based on contractual agreements? I say probably like 50%. It's probably like 50.
Sheesh. So,
Because this is my thing, right? You see, there's certain type of lawyers out there that'll hold your case hostage, right? They're not gonna move
right.
forward with anything until they get all their. My bad. Can you hear me? Can
Oh
you hear me?
shit, we got another. Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
hear
you
me?
good, brother.
Right.
I can hear
So
you.
so they'll stall on a case
Yeah, I can hear
just
you.
until. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you clear.
Yeah, they'll stall on a case until they get their money, and just wait on it. And I'm not like that, man. I don't like just clutter accumulating, right? So if I could get your case dismissed today, I'm not gonna try to stretch it out
Right.
6 months, 8 months, because you ain't paid me. I'm gonna get this shit out the way. If I got to, I'm just gonna put this shit on my taxes that you owe me some money, and I'm gonna deduct it from my taxable income because I shouldn't have to pay taxes on work that I did that I didn't get paid for. So,
She wasn't
right,
compensated.
we're gonna have to work that out. I talked to my tax man, we done figured out the solution to, you know, keep me from being the one to take an L after I did what I'm supposed to do and don't get everything I'm supposed to get. But like I said, if I was to hold cases hostage, then yeah, I'd get all my money because I wouldn't do I wouldn't do shit until I did. And so I guess it's one of those, like I said, challenges that come with the industry.
Somebody was saying a great criminal attorney doesn't concern himself with trying to charge you the most to defend you because and hopefully you in turn you with them to where you bring them accidents and other type of things that they can make more of a profit off of. How would you say about that?
I mean, everybody's got their own business strategy as far as what they're in it for. Some people try to make $1 million off of each case, and some people understand that if they just do a quality amount of work, then the work will speak for itself over the time, and everything balances out. Me personally, I'm like the latter, man. And you do quality work, man. Your resume speaks for itself, then you're gonna be all right. Because at the end of the day, you know, um, people have the ability to figure out what it is important, and if it's something that's really important for them, then they're gonna come up with a way to make sense. I look at certain statistics, right? They say, black people, like, they're the highest demographic to own Benzes, right?
Right.
But when it comes to just achieving just like wealth in general, they're not leading the charts, right? So I mean that
Right.
just shows you that people can find a way to come up with something that they really, really wanted, right? And that's across the board. So I understand the necessity because of going to U of H and having a business degree. I understand that as a business owner, you know, my operation has to include various types of things in order to stay functional. And so, I tap into the various
Right.
operations necessary to have a viable business model. And so I'm not, losing no sleep over a clients that ain't pay me. Now I do keep a list of people that ain't pay me, and their future favors are jeopardized substantially. I might not be mad at you, but you're not gonna be able to call me again and be like, "Hey, I need a favor." Not when you still owe me some money. That
Right.
equation, and it's no bad blood, But I mean, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, that's my fault. So, you know, that's kind of my theory on it.
No, I feel like that's a huge gem because I mean, some people don't even know that that's a possible thing as far as dealing with your taxes and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So really, really appreciate that information. What are some of the most memorable moments you've experienced in the courtroom?
I mean, for me, it's always got to do with people that have been told they were doomed, people who've been told that the situation is impossible, that they're going to jail, that there's nothing that they can do about it, and trusting in me and my abilities, even as a young attorney, to fight for them. That's really what moves me the most. It's like you know, back when we were younger, fights happened sometimes. And, there were situations where, somebody had a big mouth but they ain't had no hands. And, they would try to talk a bunch of shit and then get somebody else to fight for them. Right. And I always thought that
Right,
was kind of weird. I always thought that was kind of weird. If you're going to talk crazy, then you better have the hands to back it up or you need to be quiet. And so, but in these situations where I'm fighting for people that pretty much lost hope, it's a different feeling, right? Because they're coming to me for help because they can't help themselves. And they don't know how to help themselves and they don't know how to get out of a messed up situation. And for, me to have a guy that, was facing 20 years in jail and, I say, nah, man, we standing on our truth and get a case dismissed, so that he can be with his family, his growing children. Like that's the type of stuff that's priceless to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love getting a big check, and I've gotten a few of them for sure. And those are monumental to me as far as knowing that I could generate those type of earnings. But as far as just impact as a human, I can only be happy. You can tell somebody, hey man, I just made $100,000. If you're not about to give them no money, how happy are they about to be with you? They might even take that like, are you flexing on me by saying that? They ain't even
what you
misinterpret
saying?
it.
Right,
What you telling me for? But when I can say to someone else,
right,
man, you free, bro. you get to go home and be with your family, bro. You get to go home and keep your job. You get to go home and be with your grandma before she passed away. Like that. That's some shit that transcends just me being happy at my own personal accomplishment. That's me having a positive impact in
right.
somebody else's life and the lives that are relying on them. And to me, it ain't too many better feelings than that.
So I mean, what do you think are like some common misconceptions of attorneys?
Um, all attorneys aren't equal. And some people think that um, the color of a lawyer matters, and that's not true either. Because you can have
Right.
a perfect colored lawyer, right? Whatever that color may be. We're not going to go down that route. We have a
Just say
perfect
fair.
colored lawyer,
Yeah, fair skinned
you
one.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
and that person not have the network necessary to get your task accomplished, right? And you can have a lawyer
Right.
that look like it doesn't fit the description and be perfect for what you're trying to get done. So a lot of people judge a
Right.
lawyer by his cover, and to a certain extent, you should because you know levels of professionalism should be reflected in a professional, right? But at the
Right.
same time, you know, some people are tricked into thinking that the people there over there, they ice water is colder than the ice water over here. If it's ice water, it's ice water. It doesn't really matter where you're getting it from. If it's got ice in it and water, it's ice water.
Right.
So,
Right.
um, I would say that would be probably one of the biggest misconceptions that people have.
Like so just a side note, like even with your like let's say you got a client and you can look at all of stuff, you could tell that this person obviously is guilty. Does
Yes.
that impact any in how you represent these people, or do you still go and say, hey, this is my client. I got to argue this truth.
Well, this is the thing, and this is the reason why I started my own law firm, bro, was because I didn't want nobody telling me where to draw the lines on my moral compass, right? It's certain type of crimes that I cannot represent
Right.
somebody. I'm not going to represent you. I got children of my own, and if something ever happened to
Right.
any of my kids, damn, all of that, you got me messed up, right? So I can't represent someone. I would do a terrible job of that. I would start stuttering. I would forget my first name. It's something that happens to me when I do things that aren't aligned with who I am. Like my body starts to shut down in weird ways. I'll start geeking, bruh. Like for real, for real. Like I just can't. Like
Right.
But if it's like you got into a fight, I can relate to that. I've gotten into fights before. If you was defending yourself because you were in an abusive relationship, I can relate with that. I've done that. I've been in those situations. I jumped out of a moving car before because the girl was crazy, and I was gonna take
Damn.
my chance with the concrete. You know what I'm saying? So like I could understand certain
Damn.
situations. So even if you're dead wrong, I could still understand that somebody shot your
Right.
family member and you were so upset that you was like, man, I'm about to go shoot up his house, and I'm there. I can relate because if you touch one of my family members, I might entertain the thought. And depending on where I'm at emotionally that day, what I've been eating and
Right.
drinking, what kind of oxygen I've been inhaling, who knows?
Right.
So, I don't have a problem
Right.
representing people dead wrong because, just because you're still a Butterfinger don't mean you should get life in jail. But I do have certain lines that I
True.
will not cross for money. And I think everybody should have that, but I can't speak on everybody's behalf.
I just kind of like a little bit offside too. Some big in the headlines right now in Houston is the AJ Armstrong case. I mean, 2 mistrials, third trial, they find him guilty. From an attorney's perspective, what were your thoughts about that case?
So look, man, I'll tell you straight like this real quick, bro. I ain't never, ever, ever have the desire to be a judge
Uh-huh.
or to judge nobody. And it goes back to what I was just saying, like, because if you put me in a chair in certain situations, Lord knows what I do. At the end of the day, all I can say is this. The evidence has got to speak for itself, and the representation has got to do a good job of allowing it to. At the end of the day, a good lawyer doesn't do the talking unless the evidence do the talking. you know, because, at the end of the day, if you're a straight line to somebody, where's the honor in that? But if the facts are what they are and you're able to let those facts be reflected, then, you've done your job, as far as advocacy. So when it comes to, outcomes of cases, I know that there's so many moving parts to what a jury may or may not find to be true, based on location, based on what they let in versus they. Cause a lot of people misunderstand that, like, all the facts that they think are relevant don't always make it into the actual trial. All of the details don't always make it in. So there's certain
Right.
things that you might feel like is significant information that somehow, some way, somebody to finesse the judge into allowing to be omitted, or something that might be, inflammatory, the judge might allow to get in that could totally disrupt the perspective of the jury when it comes to an individual or how they looking at things. So, you know, on any given Sunday, bro, any given Sunday with a random group of people, it could be, it could go left, right, up, or down. And in this life we live, it's not just black and white. It's got a large gray area, and that gray area is subject to interpretation. And so, 12 people get to interpret it every time. So, I can't really say, hey, look, I can feel. I have to remove the feeling out of it because I understand that, it's we're all human, and that human nature, we can't check that no matter where we go, and that's including the jury room.
Do you feel that law is fair, or is it unfair, or is it only unfair to some?
Now, it's definitely not a even playing field for sure. I mean, you can look at the distribution of the jail population and see that it's not fair. I mean, they've already done statistics that says no race commits crime at a higher rate than another. Now, if that's true, then there should be the population
Right.
in jail should reflect the population outside of jail, right? But when you look at jail, it's not what it
Right.
is, right? There's a large concentration of certain demographics and a super small concentration of other demographics, and it's not proportional to what the population outside is. So if nothing else, before you even get to any trials, you can just look at the jail population and know that law is not fair. Because at the end of the day, the people with a whole bunch of money can afford whatever lawyer that they need, right? And those lawyers are going to do all kinds of things. And those lawyers are going to come with all kinds of influence and all kinds of networks and contacts and all of that, right? And
Right.
the people that are innocent, that are broke, and they can't afford those same resources and accesses, going to end up, my bad, going to end up taking an L
You good,
because, sometimes those networks and those affiliations are what gets the case dismissed and not the actual reality or the evidence of the case. And so, yeah, man, life is not fair. And that's part of the reason why I became a lawyer, because I know it's not fair. And it's like, well, what are we going to do about it? Just sit here in the unfairness? Or we gonna try to make some shape?
right. Well, I got one more question, which was from somebody. I gave people an opportunity to ask questions, while we got you on here. But I do want to say,
Yeah.
yesterday made 5 years that I've been released from the Texas Department of Corrections, and I haven't been back. You feel me? And while I was there, I only seen one Asian, and I saw no people of Middle Eastern descent. And like even with my case, man, I got 3 year sentence for 2 aggravated assaults and a felon in possession of a firearm, which definitely lets you know that the system isn't fair, right? However they want to look at it, right? But so one of the questions was, and I know you're busy, we're gonna let you out here, but I had a guest that wanted to know. He was arrested from the cops found something on the scene after he was booked in jail for something else. He came back and gave him a charge for a small amount of drugs that was recovered in the parking lot where he was supposed to have been. Um, what would the advice that you give to him, or what would you say as far as the possession?
Well, I'll be quick because there's obviously a lot of other details, but every case has a set of elements, right? And the
Right,
judges, excuse me, the prosecutors use the evidence to establish the elements, and it's the prosecutor's job to establish all of those elements with evidence, right? So, I'm
right,
not sure if this is a Texas case or wherever it may be or what the circumstances and situations are, but when the elements and the evidence doesn't match up, it's considered a weak case. And when the evidence and the
right,
elements aren't on the same page and it's considered a weak case, then they're going to have to consider dismissal extremely heavily because, one, there's a whole bunch of other cases where the evidence and the elements do match up. And two, if they try to take a case to trial and the evidence doesn't match with the elements, then they're going to have to explain that to the jury or risk looking silly for bringing a case in which they can't explain. So, a lot of
right,
people are intimidated into feeling like, man, I'm stuck in a situation. I want to go home. I got work. I got this. I got that. I don't want to be in jail anymore. And that pressure, puts them in a situation where they agree to like plead to something, even though they know they shouldn't. And that could have a lot of negative impact on their future. So I would say, hey, look, man, if that wasn't your dope and they didn't find it, we're on you, on your person. They just saying it was randomly in the parking lot, and they gonna have a hard time explaining that to a jury that you were in possession of that. And once again, that
so,
depends once again where the jury is from, right? And like I said, Brazoria is different from Harris
right,
County, which is different from Montgomery. So, and that's why it's kind of hard to say, hey, look, without having more facts, what an actual position should be. But it boils down to evidence and elements. Does the elements and the evidence match? Can they say, hey, if you had to have this on your person, they found this in a parking lot, that doesn't sound like evidence and elements matching right there. You know what I'm saying? And when the evidence
Right.
and the elements do not match up, it's a weak case. When it's a weak case, they have to consider that dismissal.
Yo, another dope clip, man. Make sure you check out the entire interview. It's posted on the page at Watch Your Join. Like, share, subscribe, and comment down below, man. Show some support. Help us get these followers up. Yeah, Watch Your Join.